Guys, my name is Waga and welcome to the channel. I think it's best to start off by showing you exactly what we're going to build. Um, on the right, you can see the app we're going to build, which is called Color Match. And as you can tell from the name, it's the user moves sliders to match the color. The color, for example, let me just 1 second, let me mark the various circles. So here, let's come here and we can wrap this. Why isn't it showing? Okay, yes, that wrap with column, and we can call this text. Uh, give it text A. So circle A. Yes, it shows. Beauty of Flutter instant reloading, near instant, let's say. And for matches, we can wrap this. Why isn't that? Yes, it has shown. This. Oh God, sorry. This light bulb. Um, let's call this circle text. Circle B. Yes. So where were we? Yes. You match the color shown in A at the beginning. You move the sliders to make sure B reflects the color. At the beginning, when you start, A is randomly generated using a function, and B is set at all three sliders are set at 0, which is the color black. If you move them to the end, like if we move this here and we move this here and we move this here, you get the color white. So it spans the entire color spectrum, you could say. Yeah, and after moving, let's try and match this. This to me, I guess I'm a bit colorblind. This looks like what? Light pink or something. So let's try and match it. Let's put a bit of red. Is it too much? Okay, let's do a bit of green. Oh god, messed it up. Let's do a bit of blue. Ooh, it's looking purple now. Okay, let's say, suppose you are as colorblind as I am, and you decide that these two are the same color, and you can click on submit and check your score. So you click on submit and I'm close. You have 20/20 vision. As you can see, the alert dialog pops up and says you have 20/20 vision. That's actually the top quadrant. There are 4 quadrants of playing, close, and I'll explain it in a bit. You can hit reset to generate a new color and reset the sliders back to 0. For example, I am going to show you how you do it. Let's reset. Hit reset and you see a new color which looks like, is that gray? Yeah, sort of grayish, and the sliders all back to 0. So how we did it is because the sliders, if you look, the sliders, they go all the way to 255 plus 0, that's 256. Same 255 and 255, right? Because the sliders all go to 255, I get the difference in the color. That would mean that there are 16 million colors, right? Let's check with our calculator. I guess it would be 256 by 256 by 256 colors, which would be 16,777,216. I divided this by 4 and use that to generate to divide the answer by 4 quarters. So depending on where the color is, the difference between the color you select and the color generated, we get the absolute value of that, and then depending on how far it is, you get 1 of 4 answers, 1 of 4 scores, we could say. I think then evaluate. So if the difference is really low, like was in my case, you get the message you have 20/20 vision. If the difference is a bit higher in the second quadrant, you say you are tetrachromatic. That means you can see 4 colors. Pretty good vision, right? And if the difference is greater than that, which is 1, 2, 5, 8, 2, 9, 1, 2, that's the third quadrant, you get the question, are you colorblind something? Are you colorblind? Because you did pretty badly. Else, that is, if you are completely wrong, that means that the color is on one end of the spectrum and your guess is on the other. It tells you you are colorblind. Stay away from traffic lights. So one of those 4 will be shown when you submit. And also an interesting touch is that the submit button itself is colored the same as the circle A, the preview circle. I call it the preview circle. I'll come up with better names as we go along and we're building this thing. I call it the preview circle. So circle A and the submit button, let me reset so that you can see it change. You see both of them have changed to, this looks like the previous color we had. Okay, now this is a new one. Publish, I don't know, blue, and a light shade of green. So one of those. So that's basically the app. The things that we use to build. Let's see. We could. We actually use the provider. We use the provider as a state management solution. The many state management solutions in Flutter, several have been endorsed by the Flutter team. Provider is one of them, and it is, if I'm honest, my favorite because it has less boilerplate than block, for example, and Redux is Redux is just on another level when it comes to boilerplate. But this is actually one of the best state providers in my opinion. The what is it? The provider. Let's look at a model. Yeah, like for example, you can look at the model here. So you use change notifier, and where does it connect? It connects on the main, right? Yeah, we actually use 2 providers, so we're using the multi-provider, not just one. We're using one change notifier provider for the color model, which the color model is for the guesses, so that is circle B, and the preview model is for the randomly generated color, which is generated at the beginning. We can restart the app and we see the regeneration. And so because we're using two providers, change notifier providers, I decided to use the multi-provider, right? And another thing is that the change notifier provider, let's go to preview. Is it preview or where is it? I think it's in sliders. Yeah, it's in sliders. The change notifier provider, where is it? Matches, I think. Okay. Matches. Yes. What this does is that the change notifier provider, it automatically rebuilds. Yeah, it rebuilds the widget when it detects a change. So for example, let me show you, like when we move this, it rebuilds the widget to reflect the color, and that's why we use change notifier provider. And I think that's about the entire tour of the app. I don't see if there's anything else. It's not too complex. We use color provider as a state management solution. Yeah, and it's a pretty easy app, quick, divided into a couple of parts, explaining each part, and we can break it down. As always, like and subscribe, and thank you for listening to me talk. And I hope to see you on the other side when we start building this thing. Thank you. Have a good day. Guys, welcome to my channel. This is Waga Odongo. First, as always, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps. Next, we're about to start building our color match app, and we're going to start from completely Scratch so that you can see everything that goes. And the first thing I like doing is getting all the packages I'm going to need. So we could start off the project by starting a new Flutter project. I'm going to be using Android Studio. You could use VS Code or IntelliJ, whichever you prefer. So we hit start, click next. I'm going to call mine color match. Feel free to call it whatever you want. Yes, and finish up. And as we wait, we're going to download the packages we need. We go to pub.dev and we search for Provider. Provider is one of the recommended state management solutions recommended by the Flutter team, of course, and it's very easy to use, very good, and has considerably less boilerplate code as compared to other solutions like Block, or I think Sculpt Model they're no longer developing on that. The Sculpt Model, you can also use Redux or Mobex. We're going to be using the Provider package, and we copy the Provider, and we come back. We start things off, and we go to our pubspec.yaml file, and this file is indentation sensitive, so you have to watch the spaces. I just like sliding the packages under Cupertino, perfectly aligned, and we fetch the packages. Yes, so we wait for it to fetch the packages, and we're going to use a flat folder structure. We don't have many files. This is a very small app, so we could just put everything on the same level. And one thing we could start with is create a file. We'll call it home.dat. So we create home, will be the home of our app, and this will be I believe this will be a stateless widget. This will be a stateless widget, and we could start things off by importing the Flutter material dart. So material dart, which almost every Flutter file uses, and on Android Studio you can use a shortcut to create stateless widgets. So we just type STLESS. You see it's trying to complete it for me. A new stateless widget, and we'll call this one home, and it is going to return a scaffold, not scaffold, scaffold. It's going to return a scaffold with an app bar, and in it we're going to have the title text. We could call it color match, right? Color match, right? Okay. Yes. Now we go back to the main file. One thing I like doing is just clearing everything out and starting off from scratch. So we can talk every single. So we can start from the complete beginning. Every single Flutter app or Dart file, Flutter app rather, must have a main function. That's the entry point of the app. So first, as always, we import the material.dart. So we're going to have Flutter material.dart, Flutter material.dart. Okay. Then we're going to have, this is going to also be a stateless widget. I believe this will be a stateless widget. So we could go with void main, and this will run my app. We could have my app. We haven't created it. That's why there's that red line. And it's annoying. Every line Dart in Flutter requires, or Dart actually, it's a Dart language. It requires a semicolon at the end, so that's why we're putting that there. And we create another stateless widget. We call this my app. Yes. This is supposed to be run app, by the way, not, yeah, it's supposed to be Ryan app. It's, and here we return a material app. We return a material app, and theme is going to be theme data, the primary color. Feel free to go. Primary swatch is going to be colors dot purple or purple accent. Let's go with deep purple. Why not? Let's go with deep purple. And the home is going to be home, and we import the home package. We'll import it first. Import home.dat. See, it's imported at the top, and if we reload things, it should work. So you see we've gotten the color. This is the deep purple that is reflected in the primary swatch. And yeah, we have imported home, and this is what our app looks like. And one thing we could do, or one improvement, I don't know if it's an improvement, but it's a cosmetic change. We could remove this this banner here. Usually annoys the hell out of me. So we could say debug show checked banner, and we could not floss. Hey, Jesus. False. So we hit false, and yeah, we get rid of it there. And so this is the starting point of our app. And yeah, thank you for following me this far. And yeah, hope to continue and see you in the next video. Thank you. As always, like and subscribe. Welcome to the channel. We're going to continue building our app, our color match app. And right now you're looking at the finished article. So what we're going to do today is build the random color generating function. What I'm talking about is, if you can look at Circle A on the right, if we reset, it gives us a different color. That's a different shade of green. That's I'm guessing what looks like bluish, blue and gray had a child. That's a light shade of green. That's another shade of green. That's whatever that is. So yeah, so what we're going to do is build the function that generates this color over here. Let's get started. First, we stop this, and we quit Android Studio, and we go back to our project where we left it, and we create a class that will generate for us the random colors. We can come here and get a new class. We can call it unique color generator. Okay, and we need to think it through. We would need to deal with the color class from that, of course, and we would need random colors generated. So first thing we could do is go to Flutter Dev and look at the color class. And yes, so this is the color class on Flutter Dev, and we go to the constructor and we can find color from RGB and color from RGBO. Now we could use either of this, but RGBO is the one which lends itself the most, maybe that and RGB, to the use of our sliders. So color from RGBO, this one takes 4 parameters, the first one being red, green, and then blue, and the fourth one being opacity. Opacity is about transparency, or the the transparency, with 0 being most transparent and 1.0 being fully opaque. So that's what we're going to use, and it takes a value from 0 to 255. If you remember, with our sliders take the same values, so this would be perfect for what we were designing. And how do we generate the random numbers that we will feed into this so that they can generate the color? we could look at random, how we can get random numbers using the Dart math class, right? So we could search here for random so we can figure it out. Random class, which is from Dart math, and the random class, um, we could use either next. Let's look at the methods. We have next bool, which returns a boolean value, which is true or false. Next double, which returns 0 to 1.0. Next int returns a value from 0 to max, which is in the integer exclusive. So we would get something like 0 to next int of 256, right? We would get a method that would generate a number from 0 to 255, and then we can feed it so that it can return a random color. That has been a lot of talking. I think now it is time that we write code. There are two things we need to do. First, we need to create a function that generates random numbers, and to pass that into the color from RGBO method from the color class. And yeah, that's what we could do. Instead of doing this separately, we could just do it at the same time, and this would look like this. We would first import the math library. This is where the random class is, and then we would import Flutter material dart, because that's where we would use the color class, and then we can create a class. We can call it unique color generator, and yeah, and we would give it static methods. I'm creating this this variable as static because I want to use it in a static method. Random, which equals random, and then we put the semicolon. Remember, this is that has to go with semicolons. Then we create a static method. We could call this static. It returns type color. We could call it get color, yeah, and it would return color dot from RGBO, and from RGBO, yeah, this would be random dot next int, which would be 256, right? And then next we would have random dot next int 256, right? And then blue would be random dot next int 256. And because you have 3 sliders, and I think that it's already the odds are already against you. It's almost insurmountable that you're going to guess a color right from 16 million. We're going to set the opacity defaulted to 1 so that we don't have a slider for opacity. Although if you want to increase the difficulty and complexity of the app, you could create a specific slider using the random, I believe it's random dot next double. You could use this method. You see, it doesn't take a parameter because it gives you a number between 0 and 1, and the opacity is supposed to be between 0.0 to 1. It's a double, but let's just assume that the colors have full opacity and just return a 1 like this, right? I think it would be fairest because it's already going to be difficult enough. Although I would let it, if somebody wants to make the app a bit more challenging and stuff, you can do it. But ours is just going to have 3. One for the first one is for the red, the next one is for the green, and the next one is for the blue. This will give you a number between 0 and 256 inclusive, right? Right. I just realized that because the random.nextInt method returns a number from 0 to the number in the parameter inclusive, this number should actually be 255, not 256. So we'd put 255 there, another 255 there, another one there, and the method should be like this. That way, we get a number from 0 to 255. The total numbers in consideration are 256, but the number here should be 255. So the proof is in the pudding, right, as they say. And the best way to do it, to check if this works, is actually to try it out. So to do that, we would come to home, and the app bar, we'd put a body and text. And the text, we can put a string, we could say good, and give it a bit of style, the color. We would have a text style of color, and the color should be from the unique color generator, right? And dot get color. Now, the reason we were using a static method, let me say this. The reason we were using a static method here is that it can be called without being instantiated. That is the advantage of using a static method. So that's why we use the static method, and we use the static, where is it? And we use a static variable here in random, so that we can use the random in the static method. You need a static variable to use in a static method. So to check it out, good, we see good, but it's a bit small. Let's jack it up a bit. We could put font size, give it a 40, put a comma here. Yeah, we have good, and let's try and let's see if the color changes. Okay, the color is a bit green now. Color is a light shade of green. So we do see the color changing. So this means that the unique color generator works, right? You see it keeps changing color. Stuck with the green, so you're not getting a red. Anyway, the color generator clearly works, and because we're passing the color to the text, and as you can see here, the text changes color. So I think we have achieved the goals for today. As always, like and subscribe, and comment, and inform me how I can make my code better. As always, we should always improve each other's code. Thank you for watching. My name is Waga, and see you in the next one. Waga, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building the circles here and here, A and B, and also putting this text at the top. As you can see, the circles are exactly identical, except the color comes from the randomly generated color, and the other one is set to all black or all white or anything in between, depending on the sliders. And that's what we're going to be building today. So back on our app, and first thing we're going to do is do a bit of cleanup, or even better yet, we could reuse the text here. We could first stack it. We could put it in a column so that we can also have the other widgets that will follow later. And what we could do is we could wrap it in a column widget, right? A column widget stacks multiple widgets vertically. It's the equivalent of a VStack if you know Swift UI. It's directly there's also the row widget, which stacks things horizontally and is directly comparable to the H stack in Swift UI. Swift UI is pretty good. I mean, I like reactive programming. It's pretty good. It's pretty good for building UIs. So yeah, and it's something I'm looking forward to building stuff with in the channel as we go along. So let's get to work. First thing we do is we wrap this with a column. Yes, and after that we can change the text to what we want. We could call it match, match the color. Yes, we match the color like that. And the color, you could make the color unique if you want, but let's just for the text style, let's just uh, not have color. Let's just have font size and the font font weight, and we make the font weight. Why isn't it suggesting font weight dot bold? Font weight. Where's bold? Oh, let's just type it out. Font weight dot bold. Okay, there. We should do is probably center it, and the finished article text match the color is centered. So we could come here and wrap it to the center widget. Wrap this to the center, and we save, and boom, it's centered. Next thing we could do is we could build the circle which will be a stateless widget, which we will reuse in the various the circle A and circle B, the preview circle and the matches circle. So we could come here and we could create a new Dart file, call it circle. Yeah, just circle. It's going to be circle.dart. Yeah, so circle is going to be a stateless widget, right? So first thing we should do is import, of course, import the the Flutter material Dart like that, and then we could type STLESS and hit tab there, and we would call this we could call this circle, or let's call it circle. And yeah, we call this circle. And because it's going to have color, the color is either going to come from the sliders or from the random color generator, or the unique color generator. I can't remember what we called it. I think we called it the unique color generator. It uses random numbers. So we should have, I think, a color. Yeah, we should have a color property here, and we should initialize this class. So we would have final color, very creative, as you can see, and we could initialize this generate constructor. Okay, yeah, so we got this dot color here. Sorry, I capitalized final. It's supposed to be small final. Okay, like this, more or less. Yeah, fixed it there. So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. And now time to build it up. Okay, we forgot to pass in color to our circle. So we come here and border all inside the box decoration, and we put color as color like that. This color refers to the color that will be passed in from either the slider or the unique color generator function, the class. Yeah. So yeah, and then we try it out. We come to home here, and the center widget. We can call in the circle. We can call in circle, and yeah, circle will take a color. So to test it out, we could put the unique color generator here and get the get color, and yeah, put a comma in it, and yeah, we get the first circle. And because there are two circles next to each other, we should also have another circle here. So we should have circle and call the same unique color generator dot get color. Yeah. And now the thing is, because we want them side by side, we wrap them in a row. We should wrap them in a row. So we can come to the first circle here, and we wait. How do we do this? Yeah, we use this wrap in a row. Wrap with the row. So under the row, we could come here and get the second circle. cut it and put it in the row so that they can be side by side. Yes. But now you see the problem is they don't have any padding. In the finished article, as you can see, there's space between them, and as they're side by side, and they space all over. So we could use some padding on the circle widget, right? So we come here, and the best way we could do it is we could just wrap this with the padding. So we would come here and wrap with padding. 8 is okay. Yeah. So more or less. Okay, so as you can see, they're both both the circles are leaning towards the start. We need to put them a bit in the center and a bit of space around them. And the easiest way we can do this is by using main axis alignment. So we come here and say main axis alignment, to space evenly. We could use space evenly, right? Yeah, so there. We put them in the middle and they look good. And I think we have completed what we set out to do today. We have two circles, and they both flash different colors when we reload. Of course, we'll change this. Only the first one, the first circle, this one, will have colors from the unique color generator. This one will get colors from the sliders, and we will do that in forthcoming videos. Thank you for watching, and as always, like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. This is Wago Dongo, and welcome to the channel. We're going to continue building our color match app, and today we're going to work with the preview circle. That is circle A, the one I'm clicking on. And also we are going to work with provider a bit, set a few things up with the provider, work with the preview model, things like that. So first things first, we're going to go to the lib folder and create a new Dart file. Let's call this preview model. Yeah, hit OK. And first things first, import, as is almost always the case, Flutter material darts. And yeah, and after that, we can work with the class. We can call the class. The class will be called preview model. And yeah. And when you want to use the change notifier to work with the provider, to work with the provider, you can either use it as an extension or a mixin. So we could say extends here, extends, or we could say with. Either is acceptable. With change notifier, we're going to settle with change, although you could use the other one. You could use the extension if you want. We're going to go with the mixin, and here we're going to have color preview model. I think, yeah, we can have a color preview model. We'll have color preview model, and this is going to be unique color generator. It's going to basically just get the color, get color, and we're going to import the class, imported, get color. This is going to be of type color mod. Yeah, I was saying model. You can call it model, and we're going to create a getter. Setters and getters provide read and write access to properties of an object, right? So we're going to use a getter here, and in a later video, of course, we're going to use getters and setters for the sliders when we're dealing with circle B, which is going to be the matches circle, right? Right. So here we're going to create setters. We're going to say color get colors preview. Okay, colors preview, and this will return the color preview model. My spelling is terrible today. Color preview model. Oh, it's supposed to be small c. I was wondering what the hell is the problem. Okay. Yeah, and here we're going to put comments. This is where we're going to put our reset function. So we're going to have a reset method here. We could say reset method is below. So this is where we're going to have it. So there, we've done the first part of getting of creating a preview model for circle A, the preview circle. Is what is going to be used to change the color of the circle at the end of the game. Like if you want a different color or you just don't like the color, it's going to be used to reset, and also going to be used the button that is going to be attached to it is going to be also used to reset the value of the sliders. That will be done in a much later video. Okay, next we have to create the preview circle. So we can come here and we'll reuse our circle, the circle stateless widgets that we built, and we're going to have a new .dat file. We're going to call it preview circle preview circle. Okay, so preview circle, this is going to be a stateless widget, so we are going to say strless and we call it preview circle like this. And of course we need to import the usual Flutter material dot. Yeah, and we are going to have a variable here of color, variable color, which is going to be provider dot of, and we're going to provide our model, the model that we're going to use, which is this one, the preview model. So we're going to say preview model, like that, and then we're going to provide the context. Listen is set to true. Yes. We're going to correct this by importing import provider, yeah, and also put this, yeah, semicolon. Yeah, so we're going to do this, and what we're going to return here is, of course, the circle that we built. Yeah, we're going to have the circle, and to provide the color is going to be color dot colors preview, like this. So this is the getter. So we're going to provide the color dot colors preview, like this. Yeah. So that's the preview circle more or less done. To PubDev to have a look at some of the documentation for provider. We're going to come here and go to pub.dev and search for the provider package. Click here. Now this is what we're going to use. Currently I think we're on 4.01. Let me just check. We're 4.02. We're on 4.02, and yeah, we are currently on 4.02, and you can read about how you expose values, and it's all in the documentation below, and how you use change notifier. You can come here and see how you use change notifier. Yeah, and how you can read like single values, and how you can use multi-provider. We'll be using multi-provider this one a bit later when we have we've built the model also for the matches model. When we build this model, we're going to use multi-provider. So it would be nice if you could have a look at this, and you know how you provide the providers as an array, and then yeah, it's nice. It's nice to use. So you can have a look there. check it out, and let's get moving. What are we supposed to do next? Next, we are supposed to hook up the, I believe, the main. We provide, interesting, yeah, we provide. We make the material app a child of change notifier provider, so that we can use our, the provider package and notify the various widgets underneath of changes. So we can come here to material app, and we can wrap it. Wait, where is it? We can wrap it with wrap with a widget. Wrap with a widget. We can call this widget change notifier provider, like this, and we provide generic here of our preview mod, like this, right? And then put create here. Create. This is all in the documentation, so you can just check and confirm. Context, and it will give us the preview model. Preview model. Instance of the preview model, like this, like so. So we can now test and check if everything is working as it should be by going to home, and instead of these two circles, we could get rid of this first circle, I guess, and put in the preview. Let's call preview circle, right? Preview circle, right? Like this, like so, and it should work. If this works, we shouldn't see any difference, because the preview circle basically gets the color from the preview model, and after it gets the color from the preview model, it's used by the preview circle, and the circle, of course, uses the default circle, this one, the stateless circle widget that we used to build, and we use it in the preview circle, which gets the color from the preview model. So basically, if everything works, it should work the same, and we have refreshed and it's still working, meaning that everything is as it should be. Today's video is a bit shorter than the other one, because I believe that going into the sliders and the magic circle should all be done together, and this will take a bit more time than usual. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. The channel, this is Waga. And today we are finally getting down and to the meat of the project. We're going to be building the the matches circle, that is circle B, the one I'm clicking on, and hooking it up with the various sliders. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Let's get to work. We're back on our project. Let's just start things up, and we're going to look at the slider class on Flutter material. To do that, we go to api.flutter.dev, as you can see here, and we search for the slider class, right? We search for the slider class, and we're going to look at the provider. So we're going to just use the normal material design slider. If you want to use the Cupertino slider, you're free to do that, but we'll use the material slider. It has a thumb. The thumb is a big circle around that you normally move around. It has a track. The track is the line underneath, and we are going to color our track according to the primary color that it is using. So for example, the red slider will be, the track will be red, the blue, the green slider, green. So that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to have the name and the value of the slider on top of the slider, so that you can read the value, as you can see if you look at the beginning of the thing. So let's scroll down to the constructor, and we come to the constructor. We're going to see that sliders use doubles, so we'll either have to use dynamic or num, right? we can't just use int when we are passing in values. It also has a value changed, and yeah, those are the only two that are required. I'm probably going to use the next, and it has a max min. So for example, we can have a max of 255 in our case, and a min of 0, active color and things like that. Yeah, we're not going to use semantic callback, but we're going to use a label. Yeah. So let's get on to business, and we go back to our project, and on the lib folder we create a new file, a new .dart file. We can call it matches model. That's after the circle. Remember, we're just showing a circle here for illustration, but we'll create the match circle and put it where I'm clicking right now. Okay, so matches model, and we click OK. And as you remember, the sliders normally use what are they called? The sliders use double, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to create getters and setters for the 3 colors that we're going to use, and we're going to have change notifier and things like that, so that we can pass it on to the slider. Quick detour on the finished article. Let's just talk about everything on the slider using the actual finished article, so that you can see what we're doing. So for starters, as you can see, this red thing here, the one with the aura around it, halo, is a thumb, right? At the top we have the label, and the label has the value that the thumb is in, so you can see the value as you're moving it. And behind it you can see the active track. So the active track is the color that it represents, the primary color that we're showing. So this is red, this is green, this is blue, and you can see the same is true for all 3. So that is what the label is. The label is at the top. The thumb is a round thing here, and the active color is the portion of the track that we have covered, right? So that's what I was talking about. So let's get back to business. First things first, we need to, in the matches model, we import, as always, the Flutter material Dart, as almost always, and then we create the class. We can call it color matches model. Let's call it matches model. God, spelling matches. We don't have spell check for IDs. Matches model. We're going to use the change notifier, so you can add the change notifier so that we can notify the listeners using, that is, I'm talking about provider, of course. You can use change notifier as either an extension or a mixin. So you could either say extend, or you could say with, right? Either works. So we could say with change notifier. We have seen this previously, if you can remember, in the, I believe it's in the preview model. Let's check. Yeah, you can see with change notifier. You could put extension either. Either will work with change notifier. So we come here, and then we use for the 3 colors. We can use double underscore red. This means that this is private. We could put it at 0.0. A double is essentially a floating point number. So let's look at the documentation on double. Double, remember, that is Dart, so we could say API flutter.dart, API.dart dev. So let's come here and check out what it has to say about double. And yeah, a double is a floating point number. So this is a number with a decimal. And as I say, it's contagious. It returns double and double results. And some of the methods we're going to use from doubles is absolute, right? Absolute. This is when we are finally evaluating. That's towards the end. We're comparing and things like that. So a double is essentially just a floating point numbers. And as you remember, sliders use doubles. That's why we're using double, not integer here when we're building. So let's get back to business. So we create a double for red. We repeat it for green, 0.0. And the underscores, makes it inaccessible outside the the class, can be called outside the class. Blue equals 0.0, like this. And next we create setters and getters. Setters allow us to access methods, um, read and write access to properties of classes, right? Basically that. So we could create a double and setter for each of these three colors. So we could put here double get red, and it will return red. Yeah. Set a setter for red, so that we can pass back colors, which is double, and we're going to set the value. The value that is passed in is going to be equal to red, the value from the slider, that is, and we're going to notify listeners, right? So that there can be changes to the circle, and also the changes to the circle and the label. Okay, like that. Yeah, so let's continue. Yeah, we just repeated for the next three colors, right? Is it two colors? Oh yeah, the next two colors. Let's copy this. Copy. Come down here and do that. And we change the colors. This will be, the getter will be for green. And this will return green, like this. And this will be for green. And this will return green. You know, the usual tedium of typing in programming. And we do the same for the blue color. Copy. We do the same. This will be blue. This is a blue getter, and I'm blue. Blue and blue. So we have the three setters and getters, and now it is time to build our slider. Okay, let's get to work. As you can see on the finished article to the right, the sliders all are all identical, save for three factors. The color, the track color, you can see this one is red, this one is green, and this one is blue. The label at the top has the value of the actual slider, and I think, yeah, just the label and the color, and maybe the value that it shows, the value showing. So we could basically just build one widget for slider and reuse it several times. That would be the prudent thing to do, rather than building independent sliders. So that's what we're going to do right now. Back to the app we're building, and what we're going to do is first just create a file here. You can call it sliders. This is where the sliders will live. Sliders dot, right? Okay. It's going to be a stateless widget. So first things first, as usual, import Flutter material dot. There should be a shortcut for importing Flutter material dot. If you know any, let me know in the comments. We can come here and type strless and hit tab, and we can call this leaders. And before we even build the slider, let's build the reusable slider. So this is going to be of type widget. It's going to return a widget. We can call it build slider. I know, much creative. And what is it going to accept? Named parameters, right? We could have a label, which will be a string label, yes. A color of type color, which will come from the model. A double value, which will be passed around, and of course the onChange function, which is going to be onChange. Yes. And when you pass these things in, it is going to return, oh, not a plus, equal. This is an arrow function. It's going to return. I want the label to be above the slider, so we could put like it is a text, right? So we could return. I'm guessing a column because they're stacked vertically on top of each other. So we could have a column, right? And the column is going to have children, right? And we can put this here. And the first child is going to be the text that is going to have the label, and we're going to give it a bit of style, text style. Textile sounds like textile. We're going to give it a font size of about, let's say, 20, or you could put it 16. I'll check later on how it's rendered on the Android. Let's just work with iOS right now. There are a few problems when I was originally building it because I had to make the circle smaller so it could fit in. I was using a Nexus 5 as my emulator, and I had to make the circle smaller so it could fit on a Nexus 5. Everything I've worked with works well on a Nexus 5. I don't know about other phone sizes, but it works well on Nexus 5. There are no scrolling issues. Okay, so we put a text style and we say font weight, which is going to be for capital. I don't know why it's capital sensitive. It's a bit annoying, if I'm honest. Yeah, and after that we put in now the actual slider, right? So the slider, the active color is going to be color, which is either going to be red, green, or blue. The value is going to be the value. Yeah, I hate this. It obscures you a bit. Let's give ourselves a bit more real estate when we're working. The unchanged is going to be unchanged, and the min is going to be 0, and the max is going to go. It's going to go all the way up to 255 because that's what if you can remember, that is what the color from RGBO takes, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And put a comma here for that the linter knows how it looks like. So that is the slider in essence. What we're now going to do is use it 3 times, is like reuse it 3 times, right? First things first, and here we're going to get the color from the model, right? Is to get the color from the model, and for that we use, of course, the provider. And what we're going to do is call in the color. We can call it color. Ooh, spelling. We can say provider dot of. Now, when you're using the provider.of, it's different from when you're using consumer here, because you do not want, use provider.of when you don't want the widget below to be rebuilt. But when you use consumer, as we shall, when we're building the circle B, remember circle B is not yet built, that is the matches circle. We'll use the consumer set to build every time the notifier listeners are fired. Every time we have, every time this notifier listeners are fired, like when we use the setter to change the value of green, the color here will change as a result. So here we will use the consumer, but when we are, where are we? But when we do not want the sliders to be rebuilt every time, so it's inefficient to do that. I'm guessing you could use it, but yeah, it's a bit inefficient, and we don't want to do that actually. So here we could say that, and no, it matches model, right? Like this, yeah. So, and this is going to take the context, and listen, we have done this before, so I won't harp too much on it. And because we want the three sliders that we've built here to be shown line together, we could use we could return a column. I'm guessing, yeah, it's going to be a column. So what we're going to return column. Yeah, we're going to return a column here, and the children, yeah, we could put here, put this. You know, you need semicolons everywhere. This is dot. The widget, the first, we're going to call the widgets to build the red color, the red slider, right? So the label here will be, we're going to use string interpolation. String interpolation allows us to insert values into strings and also do calculations, as you will see right now. So we're going to do red and use string interpolation. We could say color dot red dot to int, right? Like this, because it's a double, so we're putting it as integer so that you can see it better on the label at the top. Remember, the build method requires 4 parameters, has 4 parameters: color, value, and on function change. This is the first. So the next one will be color, and this is going to be colors.red. We're getting the colors here from Flutter, because as you know, our model only has the values, the various values. It doesn't have the actual color, so that's where we're getting the color from the Flutter itself. So that's why it's colors.red, and the value is going to get color dot red, right? And on changed, we are going to use we're going to stick V here, and it's going to return color dot red and set the value, right? The value as V. Or we could spell it out. It would be better if we spell it out rather than just say V. Value. Okay. So yeah, so that is all to do with, where is it? Okay, let's put this like this. That is the red. Let's build the green and the blue, RGB. Okay, we can copy, make it easy for us, save a bit of time. Build slider. This is build slider. Yes, we could go with here green colors dot green to int like this, and make this colors dot green from material. Value in the model is going to be green here, and here it's going to be color dot green equals value, like this. So we have built up built that up. Let's put commas here so you can space it out better for us, and we copy this to build the, what's it called, we copy this to build the blue. So here it's going to be blue and color dot blue here, and here is going to be blue. This is going to be below, and finally blue. So that's it. That's our sliders more or less done. Let's show them on the screen. And show our sliders on the screen, you have to remember that the matches model, if we go to where is it main or home? I'm guessing it's main.dart, right? If we go to main.dart, we find that we're only providing change notifier provider for preview model. That is, we started off assuming that we have only one model, but now we want to bring in another model to use, right? And for that, we need to use multi-provider. And to find out more about multi-provider, as with everything Flutter, Flutter packages, that is, you come to pub.dev, and we can search for provider. Come here, provider, and we go down. I think it's somewhere, where it's here, multi-provider, right? You change this provider. This is our change notifier provider. You change it to a multi-provider where we provide the providers in an array, like provider for the matches, the preview, and then you return the child. We put it high up in the tree so that any widget below it can access it. So we need to change this, right? First things first, we would have we would put our providers in. We would get rid of this. We could do this, right? Remove this widget, right? Our app will break, of course. When we save it, our app will break, and after that, we return we wrap it with a widget. We could say wrap with a widget. Wrap with a widget. We could say multi-provider. We call it multi-provider, and after the multi-provider, we provide the various providers in an array, right? We could say, we could call it change notifier provider. The first one will be for, is it what's the name of the first one? The first one will be for the preview model, I believe. The preview model, and it will we'll have here create. This is all in the documentation. I'm not just typing it out of the blue or expected something. I'm just referring to the documentation, and here we can return the actual review model like this. Yeah, that's the first one. Then the next one we need is the what's it called? The change notifier provider, and it is for the matches model, right? And same thing, create, and we have the context, and it returns the matches model like this. So that's all you need to do. You need to provide the two providers for the preview model and the matches model. If we're only using one, you could just use the change notifier provider. If there's only one provider you need to use, but if you're using multiple, you need to stick them in an array, as you can see in over here. And yeah, like this is essential. And return the material app. You put it at the top somewhere. They call it ancestor or something. At the ancestor, at the top of the widget tree, so that it can be provided to widgets below. That's what you do. All this typing, we need to check whether or not it works. So we've made the sliders. We've set up the multi-provider. We now come to home, and we put the sliders underneath and see if they will appear. This is the moment of truth. So we have sliders here, put them like this, and yeah, they appear. But they seem to be a bit, we could put a bit of space around them, right? That would be a bit more aesthetically pleasing, right? So we would come back to sliders, and maybe we could wrap this column in some padding, wrap with padding, right? Yeah, they're a bit lower. I think it looks better. Yeah, so we have done the sliders. This video is long, but let's just soldier on and hook up this circle here, and make sure that it works. Let's try out the slider. It works. Wait. You can see the numbers are moving and the numbers are changing on the label. Okay. The green also works, and blue also works. So the sliders are more or less built. Now, the next and final thing we need to tackle is hook up this, create the matches circle. Okay, let's make a matches circle. Let's make the matches circle. As you can see, this circle here is not connected to the sliders. So we come to the lib folder and we create a new dot file. We call it matches. This is going to be a stateless widget. So first we import the filter material dot like so, and we come here, we type strless. We call this matches. We're going to use a consumer, like I said, because we want it rebuilt every time the notifiers fire, so that we can see the new color. So what we're going to do is we are going to come here. We're going to delete this return. Like we're going to delete the return like so. Also delete. I find it easier when you're doing when you're working to do this. First we return the consumer, right? This is from the provider package, and we pass in our matches model, like so. From the matches model, we take in the builder, and the builder takes three different what are they called? Three parameters. It has context, it has the model we're going to use, which in this case is matches model, and it has the child. We're not going to use the child, so we could just put an underscore here if we wanted. We're not going to use the child, and we're going to return this, and let's put a comma there. We're also going to use the color, right? Get the color from RGBO. We're going to use the values from the model in a RGBO, color from RGBO method. So let's, from the color class. So let's create a variable. We can call the color. We can do it all in one line. We don't have to create it like above. So this is going to be equal to color dot from RGBO, and the red is going to be matches model dot red dot. The red is currently a double, so we convert it into an integer because this color from RGBO takes integers, right? So we do the same here. Matches model dot blue. No, it's supposed to be green. Red green. It's going to be green, and we convert it into an integer dot to int, right? So yeah, and we do the same for blue. We say matches the model dot blue dot to int. Yeah, and the opacity, remember the opacity we decided is 1. If you want to put a fourth slider with measurable with different opacity, you can, but already you have a 1 in a 16 million chance of getting this. I think it's already difficult enough. Yeah, so let's just put a 1 here, and we can put yeah, that here, and what we return, let's put a comma here, so that we can help the linter help us. And after that, what we return is, we're going to reuse the circle. What we're going to just do is take the circle and pass in the color. So we could say circle, and yeah, and we import the imports, and we pass along the color, right? Like so. So if we have done everything correctly, currently this is, remember, this is, we come home here and we can see where this circle here, this circle in question is getting color from the same place that this one is getting from the previous circle, the unique color generator. But what we are going to do now to check if it works is replace this with the matches circle, and that will hook onto the values that the slider controls, and we can change our color. So this is the moment of truth. So we say matches on S like this, and oh, we're supposed to import it. So import it, and yeah, there. So let's see, is it working? Yeah, is the color changing? Yes, the color is changing. So basically we have done what we wanted to do today. We have created the matches model, we have created the matches itself, and we have created the sliders, and we have hooked everything up, put it on the screen. I think the app is now mostly done. It's just the 2 buttons and the evaluation left. So basically that was it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Remember, like and subscribe. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is Waga. We're going to continue with our color matchup, and the goal today is to set the reset button. The reset button will first return the sliders back to the initial position, and it will also give us a new color in the preview model. Yeah. In the preview cycle, we'll have a new color. So let's say somebody plays the game and has finished, and they want a new color or a new challenge. They hit the reset button. So what we're going to do, if you can look at the simulator, you're going to see the reset button at the top and submit. We could change the order maybe later on, but we'll handle the submit button in a different video, in the final video. Yeah, so what we see is, for example, if we move the various sliders like so, let's say that, and we hit reset, the sliders all go back to 0, and we get a new color, and the new color is reflected in the submit button. So that is what we're going to build today. Call it reset button. We call this, call this reset button, like this. This is going to be a stateless widget. So first, for starters, we import the usual Flutter dot material dot. Then we come here and type strless, and we call this the reset like this. But yeah, and we're going to use the raised button. A raised button. You could use the flat button, but raised, it kind of looks good. Okay, the shape is going to be rounded rectangle border, and the border radius, the border radius is going to be border radius to circular, and this usually takes a double, right? You can see here it takes a double, but we could put in an integer that will be interpreted as a double. So yeah, like this, and we can put a comma here for the to give ourselves a bit more real estate and set things going, like so. And after that, we could give it a color. Now you could make the color to be, we're going to make the submit button the same color as the preview cycle, but I think for the sake of clarity and for somebody to see, let us make this one, just let's make it blue, or whatever color you want. I'm going to have mine as blue. So we put color and colors dot blue. For the next one, we're going to, like I said the previous, but that will be in the next video. And we're going to have a child, sorry, spelling is text, and we're going to have the text. The first unnamed parameter is usually a string, so we could put here reset, and we can give it a bit of style, you know. Style, we could say text style, and we give it color, yeah, and then the colors dot white. The text should be in white, right? We can make the text white, and of course, as every button has to have an on pressed, and because they're going to be several methods, or two to be exact, let's just put the opening and closing braces like so. Yeah, so we have that, and we're going to try and place it in the widget tree, and for that we come to home, and under the sliders, right, we could have the reset button like this, yeah, like so, and it should appear. So we have the reset button, but as you can see, it appears, it's there. Maybe we could give it a bit of padding before we move on to other things. So we come to the reset button here, and we can wrap this with some padding, give it some padding, yeah, okay. Yeah, move it a bit down, give it some nice padding around it, give it space between it and the blue slider, and that's the reset button done. Now it's time to work on the color, on the match, on the reset, and the match is this one, the preview and the match. The sliders, that is, the sliders for the match and the color for the preview. So to create the function that will reset this, reset the match circle, we go to the preview model. No, the preview circle. Sorry, this is the preview and this is the match, right? I keep confusing them. So first we go to the preview model. We come to the preview model. We had left a comment here, and we could create it. And how we do this, we would just pass into the color preview model. We could pass in the same function, the unique color generator from our the unique color generator. We could just take this and put it back, and we could take this method and put it in the color preview model. Just do it again and you would get a new color. So we come here and we would say void reset, like so, and here we're going to call color preview model, and we call the unique color generator dot get color, like so, and then we're going to notify listeners of the change so they can be a rebuild. So like so, that method has been, we've created the reset method. We go back to our reset button, and we create the various methods that will be used to reset the preview circle and return the sliders back to 0. So first things first is we come under context and we will use our provider, of course. So we could say var, we create a variable color preview, preview, like this, and this will be equal to the provider dot of. We don't want the button to be rebuilt every time, so we're going to use provider.of as opposed to consumer. I've spoken about it in a previous video. So preview, we pass in our preview model, and then pass in the context so that you can know where it is. That is the context, and we put listen listen to true, like so. So yeah, after, and oh yeah, we're supposed to bring in the provider, so we could bring in the provider like this, and then we create the method that we will use. We could call it void dot color preview reset, like so, and in it we'll just call the color preview like this and dot reset, like so. And if we do this notionally, the color in circle A, the match circle, the preview circle, should change if we call this. So we would come to the onPressed of the button, and we can say color preview reset, like so. Yeah. And so if we do this, in theory, if we hit the button, the color should change. So let's try that out. And we can see changes to the color. Seems stuck in green, a bit of blue. So there. So just like that, we can now have different colors when we hit the reset button. Now what we're supposed to do is come to the match, and we reset all the sliders back to 0. Time to finish this bad boy. We'd do the same for match, basically. We would come here and we would say var color match equals provider dot of, pass in our match model, matches model, okay, and providing the context. It has to be under the context so that you can know where it is. Providing the context, and we don't actually have to pass listen true. It's the default is usually listen true. You'd have to put listen false if you want it to be to be different. So if we leave it like this, it should, in theory, work, right? Yeah, so the next thing we would need to do after this is have a method for resetting the sliders. Now the sliders, if we go to the matches model, I believe it's the matches model of the sliders, matches model, you see red, green, blue. What we need to do, and they're doubles, remember, we need to set them the matches back to 0, to the initial state, what they were. So we would have 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0, like this. So we would come back to the reset button, and we would call this, we would call the method, we can call it something like matches reset. So void matches reset, like so, and yeah, and in it we could just say color match dot red is equal to, remember this is a double, 0, 0.0, like so, and then color match dot blue equals 0, 0.0, like so, and color match dot, I believe it's green, right? Green equals 0, 0.0. Those are the three primary colors, like this, and yeah. And so all we would need to do is come to the button, the on press of the button, and pass in the matches reset, like so. So notionally, in theory, if we've done everything correctly, when we move the sliders and hit the reset button, the color in the preview circle should change, and also the sliders should go to 0. So let's try it out, like so, like so, like so, and do this. Yep, it works. So we have done everything we wanted to do in this video here. We have made the sliders, we can reset the sliders, and we can change the color in the preview circle by hitting a button. And so that's all for today. Thank you for watching me and listening to me. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you don't understand, and leave another comment. This is even more important. Leave a comment if you have ideas on how I can improve the app. Thank you. Hi guys, this is Waga, and welcome to the channel. As always, like and subscribe. We are going to work on the final part of our color match app, and as you can see on the right, we have the finished article. What we're going to work on is the submit button. When you, after making your various guesses or interpretations of the color, and you hit submit, it returns an answer. It says something like you're tetrachromatic. It has 4 answers. I will explain how we arrive at that, and how we do it, and how we show the alert dialog, how we calculate the values and the differences in circle A and circle B, and we'll talk about that today. Thank you. On our app, and first things first, we go to the preview circle. So we head on over to the preview circle over here, and we create, first things, we want to show the value, the actual value of the colors. This will help us understand how we calculate it will help us in calculating the score. So first things first, we could do is we could create a static variable. We're creating a static variable. A static variable is available in the class itself rather than instances of a class, meaning that we could use it elsewhere. We will use it in when we create the submit button to calculate. So we create a static variable here. We could say we could call it preview hex, preview hex, like this, and the hex is going to be equal to color dot colors preview dot, we get the value, the actual value. It will be converted into an integer, right? and we put, of course, this is that. Remember, we have to put semicolons at the end of statements. And to show this, right, it's called preview. Sorry, it's called preview hex. Preview hex, like this. Let's, yeah, like so. So to show this, I think we can just put it under the preview circle, under this, right? So we could turn this into a column, wrap with a column, and we put this as a text, like so, and we return the preview hex. But remember, the preview hex, this is not a string, right? So we have to convert it to a string. It's currently an integer, so we convert it to a string so that it can appear in text, because text, you know, the first argument in text is usually a string. It's first unnamed argument. I think we put a comma here, like so. So if we do this, we get the number. The number is 428 that. So we do this for the we've done this for the previous circle. We need to do it for the matches circle. We head on to our matches circle, and we basically do the same thing. We come here and we create a static variable. We can call it match hex, like so, and we come under the color. Under color, we say match hex equals color dot value, like this. So so to show it under the matches circle, we do the same thing. We wrap this in a column. Wait, why isn't it appearing? Come on, man. Yes, we wrap it to the column, and we type text there, and we pass in the I'm so used to putting quotation marks in text. We pass in the match hex dot to string, like so, and when we hit that, it appears like that. So we have the two numbers. We have this number and this number. So to get the value of how close you are to this number in the preview circle, we should get the difference and get the absolute value. And then, yeah, and then we can have a tiered model where if you're this close to the absolute value, you get one score, and like that. And we can divide it into as many pieces as the tier, into as many as we want. We will only work with 4. So we'll have 4 quadrants: the upper quadrant, the next one, the third one, and then the lower quadrant. So depending on how close you are. The reasoning was that if you have 16 million options, right? Let's get our calculator so I can get it. Our calculator. And I've done this. I think I did this in the first video. 256 by 256 by 256. So these are the number of options you have, right? You have 16,777,000. Yeah. So if we were only to look at the if somebody had to get it correct, I think it would be almost impossible. You have some of these shades are almost imperceptible to the human eye. So I thought I'd reduce it and divide this into 4. Divide this into 4, like so. So if we divide this into 4, at least somebody has a higher chance of getting the score correct, right? Continue, and let's create the submit button. You could create a button independently and reuse it for the reset and submit, because they look they almost look the same. However, I felt I just created it, and like we have reused the circle, right? We could also reuse the button. You're free to do so, but I didn't do the same here. And also, I think that this reset button fires off two methods, and this one is only going to fire off one, something like that. That's what I was thinking when I was originally building it, but let's do it now. So let's come here and to the lib folder and create new.file. New.file. We could call it submit. It's going to be a stateless widget, as I don't think we've used a stateful widget here, and we're going to call it submit, like so. And as usual, you're going to have to, let's give ourselves some bit of real estate. Let's import the Flutter material that Flutter material that, like so. And what we return, we will use a raised button. I just think flat buttons look really, they're not aesthetically pleasing. But you could use it. We'll use a flat button in the dialog so that it can be fair. Yes, we've used both of the main buttons. Raised button, and it's basically the same as the reset button. So we could say the shape here is going to be rounded rectangle border, right? The border radius is going to be border radius to circular, right? It takes a double, so you could put 30.0, and yeah. And remember, we had originally said that the color of this submit button is going to be the same color as the preview circle here. So it's going to be this shade of purple, this deep shade of purple. Looks deeper than this. Is it purple? Or whatever, this, whatever is going on here is going to be the same thing that's going on here. So under this, we are going to have the color. Wait. It's supposed to be here around it. Oh, it's under the border. So we put the color here. The color here is going to be, for now, let's say colors dot blue, like so. And then the child is going to be the text, right? I think the reason that you just can't, it's not one of the fast arguments you put into a button is because they figure that some people would want icons as buttons. That's why we have to put text as a child. So we put here submit, like so, and we give it a bit of style, like we did the other one. We could say text style and color. Hopefully the color shown will not be white. You have a 1 in 16 million chance of getting exact white, so you might not see it. If you get it, tough luck, I guess. There's nothing I could do. If you get white, in the off chance that when you're building this app you get white, you have bad luck, terrible luck. On pressed, it's going to be empty for now. So yeah, and of course we want to see this, so we come to home. Unlike the original, we're going to put this under the reset. In the original, in the finished article that I normally show, we normally put it under the, what's it called, above the reset, but here we're going to put it under. So we come to home, and we put it under the above the reset. Let's put the reset as the final widget. So we put what's the name, submit, like so, and we put a comma, right? So yeah, so we have submit and reset. There. Take care of the color. So how do we do color? We come back to our submit, and we're obviously going to use the provider, right? That's the whole point of having the thing here. So we'd say var color equals provider dot of. We don't want it rebuilt every time, so we use provider.of. We use the preview model like so, and pass in the context so you can know where it is, and listen. We don't have to use the listen true, but it's good practice. It's in the documentation. So like this, and we import the preview model, and we import the, we import the provider package like so, and then we come down to, where's the color? Color here, we can just set it as, color. I use a Pomodoro timer to keep me so I can take regular breaks. Yeah, so we have color as color, and we can't put it as color. It's going to be equal to color dot dot colors preview, like this. So if we do this, the color should change. So you see the color here is the same color as this, and when we reset, the colors change to mimic it. So there, done. The differences, and we do that by first to create a static variable for submit. So you can say static var difference. Put a semicolon here. This is data to all, and we create a method. We can call it message, which will display a message with the said value. So it will return a string, the message, and we can call it very creatively message. It will take in the difference, and yeah. So we are going to have the difference. The difference is going to be we get the value from the preview circle and the value from the matches, and then we subtract, and then we get the absolute value. So that it might be negative in one instance, right? So we always want it positive so that you can compare. So we would say preview circle dot preview hex, right? And we can put this in okay, we can put this in parentheses, and we subtract difference. This is supposed to be difference equals, sorry, it's supposed to be difference equals preview circle, and then we subtract it from the matches. No, matches supposed to be capitalized. Matches dot match hex, and we get the ab dot abs, like this, right? Oh, supposed to put a column. This is dot after all. So yeah, so the difference is going to take the number here, this 429, and subtract this 4278, and then the difference, and get the absolute value so that it's always positive, right? And put it in the difference. Yeah, going to assign that to the difference, and we are going to have create an if statement. You could create switch, but I just used an if statement here, and we say if difference is less than, I already did the math before, but you can confirm 419 4304. That means you're in the top quadrant, you're very close to the answer. You could say return top marks. You have 20/20 vision, something like this, right? Else if, because the others difference is less than, we multiply this by 2 to get the second quadrant, the upper limit, so it would be 8388608. It's still pretty good. You're in the second highest quadrant. You would return your eyesight is pretty good. You are tetrachromatic. Yeah, some people can actually see 4 colors more than others. And we have another else if here. You can put another else if for the third quadrant. Else if, else if the difference is, we take this and multiply it by 3. So if it's 12, 5, 8, 29, 12, 29, 12, like this. If the difference is less than this, right, like so, we return return the string to say you need to chomp on carrots, not even close. Give yourself a bit more real estate like so. And yeah, and then finally we put in an else at the end. That is if you're completely, it's white and it's black. In the bottom quadrant we could say return you are color blind, stay away from traffic lights. I put that, right? So depending on what somebody submits, this is going to be the message they get. Top marks, you have 20/20 vision, that's the top. Your eyesight is pretty good, you're tetrachromatic, that's the second. You need to jump on a carrot, not even close, that's the third. And if they're really, really far off, you are colorblind, stay away from traffic lights. Okay, it's now time to build the alert dialog. So for that, we come over here and we create the method that will show the alert dialog. So we could say show dialog like so. Yeah, and you could say show dialog. We pass in the context. The context is going to be the context like so, and the builder is going to be build context like this, right? And we're going to return an alert dialog. The title is going to be text. We're going to tell the player thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. And the content is going to be text with the message difference, whatever is evaluated from that. Sorry, I put the comma here. And the actions, we're going to have a flat button. You could put a raised button if you want. The child is going to be text of close. You could put an icon with the X, but I thought let's just make it explicit. On pressed, it's going to close the alert dialog, so you could go with navigator dot of context so it can know where it is, context dot pop like so, and of course yeah, so we have show dialog, and we need to put a comma, semicolon here. This is that after all. And to finish it all up, we come to onPressed here and we pass in the message. We call the message the difference, so that the difference is calculated every time the submit is hit, right? If we do it before, I think we'd get an error. And no, this is that, fires that off, and then here we have show dialog like so. Yeah, so if all this works, we should get a value when we hit the submit button. So let's try it out. So let's try this, and hit submit. Top marks, you have 20/20 vision. My vision's pretty good. Let's try and change the bit. Yeah, I think I'm further away. I'm still in the top marks category. Let's try it. Okay. Yeah, finally get something different. Your eyesight is pretty good, you're tetrachromatic. I'm on the second quadrant. Let's try and get the third quadrant. The eyesight is pretty good. Let's see. The eyesight is pretty good. Increase blue. The eyesight is pretty good. So yeah, you have to work it out until you get. Okay, I can't seem to get the third quadrant, but I'm pretty sure it's there. Let's do this. Yeah, eyesight is pretty good. Okay. Huh. A bit more difficult than I anticipated. You need to chop a carrot. Finally, I'm on the third quadrant. Now getting the fourth quadrant is going to be it's going to be a lot harder. So there, all four quadrants. One quick cleanup before we go is we could get rid of these numbers. They don't look good and they shouldn't be on the finished article. These are just to show us the values, the various values. You could leave them, but I'm going to get rid of them. So first we would go over to the preview circle, and what we could do is we could remove this text here, and we could leave it as a column, but we could also just get rid of the column. So remove this widget. So let's just return a circle like this, and yeah, like so. That's the problem. Okay. Like that, yeah. So we've gotten rid of that. And next, we do the same for the matches. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this text. Let's get rid of this text, right? Start off with getting rid of the text. Like this. And then we could leave it as a column, or we could remove it. Let's just remove the column. Remove this widget. Let me plug in my laptop. Okay, remove this widget. Okay, so there. So yeah, now we have completed our app. Everything works. Let's see if we make a submission. Your eyesight is pretty good. You're tetrachromatic. If we hit reset, we get new colors. If we try and get this looks like a very light shade of blue. Oh god, I'm missing it. Submit, top marks. Oh, I'm in the top quadrant. Yeah, so our app is basically finished, and we've done everything we set out to do in the 8 or 9 videos that we created on this. Please like and subscribe. And I'd like to ask, how else could we improve it? Maybe we could add a timer so it can give it a sense of urgency, make somebody play it faster, and things like that. Those are some of the things that we could add at the end of the app, and maybe I'll come back to it. But I think I should move on and build something else. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.